Hello, just the loud stuff is here, and we're gonna discuss 1984 year here for this episode. This is gonna be our top 25 albums of the year, and I have my fellow co-host of the Deep Focus show here, and a friend Clayton is here. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. Glad to be here. Um, we're discussing 1984. Should be interesting. I'm curious what your list is because I don't think you've revealed it to me yet. So it's been
No.
top secret.
Yeah, and I know you have. I've, but I know like a little bit of your list, but I try to not see the list when.
Mm.
But I think remember your number one still, but I think there will be some surprises for me as well. Maybe like if you have some general thoughts about the year, about this dive we made, and like I don't. Do you remember how many albums you did?
Oh wow. I did
Like,
over 150. So,
hmm,
and I
yeah.
wanted to get to 200, but this year was a lot weaker than I expected it would be. Um, I figured that there'd be a lot more higher highs because, it's the 80s. I love the 80s, but 1982 I did as well. I deep dived that year, and that year was so much better than this one.
Hmm. Yeah, I didn't actually deep dive it that well, 82. So this was like my first proper deep dive I've done. Like, but so I don't really can compare it really to anything. But hopefully I can do this more in the future as well. Yeah, top 25. I'm interested what you have there.
Sure.
Yeah,
I can go ahead and get started then, if that's
yeah,
okay with you.
yeah, for sure.
All right, number 25, I got David Gilmour, his album About Face. This album was recorded at a time whenever Pink Floyd's future was pretty uncertain. Roger Waters was pretty much dominating the band a little bit before that. There's some good musicians on this album, including drummer Jeff Porcaro, bass guitarist Pino Palladino, and Deep Purple keyboardist John Lord. And there's some good songs here too. I like Blue Light. It kind of has a Phil Collins vibe. Let's Get Metaphysical is an instrumental, a sort of cross between Adam Hartmother and Shine On You Crazy Diamonds. Um, All Lovers Are Deranged has lyrics penned by Pete Townsend, and that's a pretty good song. And Until We Sleep is rife with shimmering synthesizers and cavernous drums, also a really good song. Overall, this is a good outing from David Gilmour. I'm not sure if it's my favorite of his solo albums because I really like his debut solo album, but I'm going 4 stars. Number 24, I have Some Great Reward by Depeche Mode. This album is probably the first glimpse at Depeche Mode going mainstream. I really like their 1982 album too, but this one blows it out of the water. It has one of my favorite songs by them with Blasphemous Rumors. It's a haunting song. It has some gothy vibes to it, but it's also very bombastic, and the lyrics are pretty heavy. People Are People is the hit off of here. It has kind of a cheesy nature, but it still holds up well today. And It Doesn't Matter is another good highlight. It has great atmosphere. And Lie to Me is another standout as well. I'm also going 4 stars. It's not my favorite of theirs, but probably top five, perhaps. Next up, I have Perfect Strangers by Deep Purple. This is their 11th studio album. Some highlights are Nobody's Home, which is credited to all five band members, and it has strong rhythms and incisive hooks, much like most of this album. The title track is great. It has shades of Led Zeppelin, which I like. Knocking at Your Back Door has a great intro, and there's some dynamics in the middle of the song. And A Gypsy's Kiss is pretty fast paced, and that's another highlight. Overall, this is just a damn good Deep Purple album. Plenty of great melodies and very catchy. I'm also going 4 stars. You would think that after 25 albums and deep diving 150 albums, I'd be higher than 4 stars, but we're not at 4.5 yet. Because my next one is also 4 stars. I have Prefab Sprout with their album Swoon. This is their debut album. Q Fanfare is a highlight off of here. It's a mid-tempo track and kind of laid back, but it still has amazing drums. Couldn't Bear to Be Special is a very intense and passionate song, and it has a very intimate vibe. I Never Play Basketball is so smooth. It has cool bass and drums. It's probably the most fast-paced song here, and also has pretty abstract lyrics. But my absolute favorite song on here, which is spoiler alert in my top 25 songs, is Technique. I love the female backing vocals, and it's very sophisticated and very sharp. Overall, this is just damn good sophistopop, and it has grown on me over the years, but still 4 stars. Number 22, I believe I'm on, is The Pretenders, Learning to Crawl. Some of the highlights on here are Middle of the Road, which much like its title is pretty standard, but it's also quite thunderous. Show Me is one of my favorites on here. It's very upbeat and jangly. My City Was Gone is a nice autobiographical tune. And 2000 Miles is one of the great highlights on here. It's so beautifully written and has an icy vibe, and it will just bring tears to your eye. Chrissy just sounds so edgy, and she has so much style on this album. I'm going 4 stars again. And then I have the Psychedelic Furs with Mirror Moves. It's just such a musically satisfying album that when you hear it, you can tell it's filled with 80s goodness. It's quite different than some of their previous album. Heaven has such a driving rhythm and makes you want to dance. It's definitely a highlight, and it also has a nostalgic feel to it, which I like. The Ghost in You has a very singable chorus. And it's so spacey. It kind of has like a Flock of Seagulls vibe, which I really like. Richard Butler here has just one of those voices that, even with that slight rasp, it just reaches out and grabs you. I really like his voice. And every track has its place and feels integral here, forming a hugely satisfying experience. 4 stars.
I don't think we have anything common yet, actually. I did hear all of them, and I don't know what's my favorite. Oh, Depeche Mode, probably. But like, yeah, definitely cool picks, and well, I like all of those, but some more than others, perhaps. But yeah, cool picks for this first 6 you did. So
Surprised none of these are not in your top 25. That should be interesting.
yeah, yeah, none of those. Yeah. But
Um,
your next is 19.
yes, my number 19 is the Blue Nile with their album Walk Across the Rooftops. This is just good ass sophistopop. Some highlights, Tinseltown in the Rain. It has shuffling kinetic guitar and haunting vocals. It's so good. From Rags to Riches has a certain melancholy beauty to it with icicle-like synths, but it's also juxtaposed with calm vocals. And my absolute favorite on here is Heat Wave. It has interesting strings with the bouncing bass and a beautiful rhythm. It makes you really long for a time forgot. And this album just evokes a rich sadness, but also glimmers of hope. It's very gorgeous. Also 4 stars. My number 18 is the other Pink Floyd solo album from Roger Waters, The Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking. I like this more than David's solo album from this year. It borrows a lot of sounds from the final cut with a literal passage from the Fletcher Memorial Home from that album being on one of these songs. I had the final cut at 5 stars, and I think it's better than this due to the fact that they kind of rehashed some materials from that album for this one. But there's still some good stuff here, like Sexual Revolution, which has guitarist Eric Clapton doing his best David Gilmour impression. And Roger's voice is so aggressive on that song, which, you know, he's very good at. I love the opening theme that sets the stage for the album, the da 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 da. I can't see it, but much of this album is like a collection of silhouettes rather than full songs, but it works. The title track is very good and probably the most bluesiest song on this album. It's a very high 4. Again, it's not as good as the final cut, but I think if the rest of the band members of Pink Floyd contributed to this album, it could have a chance to land amongst their top album in their discography. Number 17, I have Judas Priest, Defenders of the Faith. This isn't my favorite Judas Priest album, but it does rock hard. It comes in between 2 albums I like more, which are Screaming for Vengeance and Turbo. But that isn't to say that this album is bad by any means. It opens up with the fantastic, speedy, and driving song Free Will Burning, which is also, spoiler, in my top 25 songs of the year. Stylistically, it comes where Screaming for Vengeance left off, but it doesn't have the highs of that album. But it's still very good. It feels like an 80s album. It's probably not their most 80s album, but it still feels like it. Jawbreaker is another great song here that's a bit mid-tempo, but also has a soaring chorus. Rock Hard Ride Free is fantastic too. The album is a little bit front-loaded, which is why this is 4 stars and not any higher, but it's my highest 4 stars of 1984. The next one I'm not going to talk very much about because it's a live album. It's Stop Making Sense by Talking Heads. I don't have much to say about this except all these renditions are fantastic. I love the versions of all of these songs. I do feel like I need to give it more listens, but this was just a very satisfying experience. It's 4.5 stars. And I think that leaves me at number 16, but do you have any thoughts?
I think we have one in common for now. I'm not gonna say which it is yet, but some cool picks. And glad some of these got the recognition that's not gonna be on my list, unfortunately. But again, like all of these, so no problems with me.
Nice. I bet the one that you have is Stop Making Sense, but we will see. I did see you show off that album. Number 15 is Joe Jackson with Body and Soul. This is just a fantastic album. It sees Joe Jackson going more into a sophistopop style. This is coming after his album Night and Day, which I have at 5 stars. And stylistically, it's quite different. While that album had a little bit more technical aspects and probably a little bit more rhythm and was a little bit jazzier, this is a little bit poppy. Some highlights are Cha Cha Loco, which has kind of a salsa feel. Happy Ending is probably the most commercial and accessible track on this LP, and it works as a highlight too. You Can't Get What You Want is definitely a favorite here. It's so bombastic and such a swinging tune. Just a great record, 4.5 stars. Number 14, I have Talk Talk with It's My Life. This album is chock full of catchy and poignant songs. Tomorrow Started is a highlight. It's powerfully evocative and pretty good. Has great trumpet work as well. Renee is filled with so much anguish, and It's My Life is such a bop. Callin' the Night Boy is a biting pop song and has some grit to it. And Dum Dum Girl is another favorite of mine. It has a really good chorus. Overall, this is most likely my favorite Talk Talk album at 4.5 stars, but I've only heard 2 of their albums, so we'll see. I know they go in a different direction later, and I'm curious how that holds up, but I like this era of that band. So next one's probably a little bit surprising. I have Hall & Oates with Big Bam Boom. That could probably raise some eyebrows, I understand. As probably the most cheesiest album I have on this list. It's very corny, but that doesn't stop me from loving it. I like songs like Going Through the Motions, which has a fun dance along kind of vibe. Method of Modern Love is such a cool sing-songy song. You know, it has Methodoflove. I love that part. All American Girl has synthetic drumming and it sounds plastic, but in the best way possible. And of course, Out of Touch is such a bop. It's a single for a reason. 4.5 stars on this. Next up, which also might be a little bit surprising, I have Bryan Adams with Reckless. Um, it's just chock full of hit after hit. Run to You has a dark guitar sound, and the chorus just kind of sneaks up on you. Summer of '69, that's a classic song that you know immediately when that drum hits at the first second that you know what you're getting into. It makes you want to drive around the city. Heaven is so triumphant, and you can't help but belt out that chorus. It's lovely. It's Only Love has Tina Turner in it, and it's so much fun. It's a pretty good duet. Somebody is a song you'll recognize immediately whenever the chorus hits. And I also like the deep cuts like Long Gone and One Night Love Affair. They're pretty great too. I love this album, even if it's mostly songs with hits. There's some good stuff here. Also 4.5. And then at number 11, I have Metallica with Ride the Lightning, another classic album here. Probably my second or third favorite Metallica. From the opening guitar strings of Fight Fire with Fire, transitioning into that heavy as fuck riff, and then thrash goodness, you know exactly what you're getting into. It also has For Whom the Bell Tolls, which is one of my favorite Metallica songs. It's chaotic, triumphant, and full of metal power. And Fade to Black has poignant lyrics and gets me emotional every time, especially towards the ending. I love the way it climaxes. Creeping Death has bombastic drums and a killer riff. This album has basically no complaints from me, except it isn't as good as Master of Puppets, but it's up there. It's 4.5 stars, and that's my 15 to 11.
Yeah. Now we have three in common, and some of these, like I think Joe Jackson, I I listened to it, but for now I don't really remember it that well. But I did like it, and actually this has been good because I've, at least for now, I've heard all of your albums. So um and yeah, like yeah, probably the Hall and Oates might be the most raised eyebrow moment, but I don't think it's that bad to me. Well, I don't know how others feel about it, but I just know it's not as strong as you.
It got a
Nothing
bad
wrong with it.
in the Discord, I'll say that, but um I'm surprised you've heard every album so far. How many albums of 1984 did you listen to, Tommy?
I think it was something like 220 albums,
Nice, nice.
including re-listens.
Curious if there's any albums of here that you haven't heard. But we'll see. I'll keep
Yeah,
going.
yeah,
My number 10, I've already talked about it on this channel. If you haven't seen that video already, I have Queensrÿche with The
yeah.
Warning. I'll keep this brief, except to say that this is unlike any other Queensrÿche album. It's their first studio album coming off their EP, self-titled EP. Some good songs here. I really love Take Hold of the Flame. It's so epic. I love the call and response, and Jeff is just belting his heart out. He's belting his heart out on a lot of songs here. And this is my first 5-star album. I'm gonna keep that brief because if you want to hear more of my thoughts on it, just watch the Queensrÿche ranking that Tavi and I did here. My number
Okay.
9 is Heartbeat City by the Cars. This is the only Cars album I've ever heard. I know, I know. But I was thoroughly impressed. If they have albums better than this, then I'll be in for a treat because it's just a fantastic album. I like It's Not the Night that has some fun synth works. And it almost has kind of an aquatic feel, but also it has that 80s cheese that I love. Stranger Eyes is a heart-throbbing song that makes you feel like time is running out. I love the guitar work on that song as well. Magic is my favorite here. I love the chorus, makes you want to dance, and the title track is a fantastic closer. And of course, Drive is an all-time classic, 5 stars. My number 8 is a blues album by Stevie Ray Vaughan, Couldn't Stand the Weather. It's not my favorite Stevie Ray Vaughan album. That would be Texas Flood, but this is up there. I had an uncle that really loves this artist, and that was kind of my intro point to Stevie Ray Vaughan. It opens with Scuttle Button, which is so fast paced, just incredible guitar work. The title track almost has kind of a Primus feel based on how speedy the guitar is, except it's electric guitar and not bass. Voodoo Child probably is the only acceptable cover of that song that I will listen to. I don't think anyone else could pull what Stevie's covering here. And then Tin Pan Alley is it's a great song. It has so much soul. Also 5 stars. And then next I have Iron Maiden with Power Slave, my number 7. I've always heard Aces High, so I was excited to hear how this album was, and I was really impressed. 2 Minutes to Midnight is such a fun song. The title track is thrawling epic. It has killer riffs at 5 minutes long. And then, of course, the aforementioned Aces High just makes you want to belt out that chorus. And I'd be remiss not to mention Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, which is the absolute best epic song Iron Maiden has ever done. Only Bruce and company could pull off a song so badass. Also 5 stars. And then next up, my number 6 is Ocean Rain by Echo and the Bunnymen. This album definitely grew on me. Originally, I had it around 4.5 stars, but I upgraded it. Some highlights include Thorn of Crowns, which has a Velvet Underground influence. Crystal Days could have been released as a single because it's such a bop. Nocturnal Me is one of the most dramatic songs on the record, and Seven Seas is a delightful short tune. And of course, you have The Killing Moon, which is up there in my top songs of 1984. It's such a cathartic song, has some of my favorite lyrics ever with, fate up against your will. Just really, really, really good album, and check it out. That's my number 6, and I have 5 more. Any in common so far?
Um, I think we have 5 in common for now. So, but I feel like there will be some more in the next 5. If not all, I'm not sure. Well, maybe not all actually. But and my streak is going on. I've heard every album of yours. And yeah, just love some of those picks, and even some albums that's like on your list but maybe not on my albums list, they might still get mentioned in the song list. So
Nice, nice. I bet you have The Killing Moon in your song list, but we will see.
maybe.
I am almost sure that you've heard my top 5. My number 5 is 1984 by Van Halen. It's my all-time favorite Van Halen album. People like to say that this is their synth album, but aside from a few songs, that really isn't entirely the case because it's chock full of great guitar work on songs like Panama, Hot for Teacher, Top Jimmy, and House of Pain. Jump is really pretty much the only synthy song on here, and I think people disregard this album because they only heard that song and thought, "Oh, Van Halen is going pop. I better run away, run away." But no, this album fucking rules. Don't run away. It's 5 stars. Um, and then my next pick, number 4, I have Bruce Springsteen with Born in the USA. When I heard this album, I was blown away. I've only heard the first 2 Springsteen albums and Nebraska before I heard this one. And I was pretty happy with how accessible these songs were. Um, my 80s cheesy heart just kind of lit up with glee. I love the title track. It's a perfect opener, probably one of my favorite openers on an album. Cover Me is fantastic, has great guitar riffs and a sprawling chorus. Working on the Highway kind of has Elvis Presley vibes, but with synthesizers. I'm on Fire is one of my favorite songs here, even if it's short, but it almost sounds kind of like U2 a little bit. Uh, Dancing in the Dark is so much fun, and Glory Days is just incredible and relatable in so many ways. Also, my favorite song on this album, 5 stars. Number 3, I have Purple Rain by Prince. I don't have much to say about this album except that it's a classic for a reason. I can see this landing at number 1 with more listens, which I will keep listening because I'm actually deep diving Prince right now. But for now, it's number 3. It opens with another fantastic opener, Let's Go Crazy. That song just brings a smile to my face. Darling Nikki shows Prince getting down and dirty and has some Michael Jackson vibes. When Doves Cry has a rock and roll feel to it with some pop meshed in. And of course, Rain, one of the best songs of all time, 5 stars. Number 2, U2 with The Unforgettable Fire. It's my favorite U2 album, 10 out of 10. It showcases amazing sonic soundscapes from The Edge. Love the song Pride in the Name of Love, which recently I found out was about Martin Luther King, but Wire is very good. The Edge kind of reminds me of Alex Lifeson here, like in some of his guitar work, and Bono is just firing on all cylinders. Bad is my favorite song on here. It's just incredible. It's a fantastic ballad. It makes me get in my feels every time. It could be used on the ending credits of any emotional movie ever. I don't have much to say about this album except that it's a sprawling triumph. Very good. And then, of course, if you know me, my number 1 is Grace Under Pressure. There it is. There it is. By Rush. This shows Rush getting deeper and deeper into the 80s sound. There's some drum machine here, but that doesn't stop Neil from showcasing some of his best work on any Rush album. It opens with Distant Early Warning, which has a sneaky bass groove, and then After Image is such a sprawling, emotional song about losing someone you love. I listened to that song on repeat whenever I found out that Neil passed away. It was very emotional for me. The Enemy Within is another highlight. It's so speedy and killer. And Red Lenses, I think, is pretty underrated. It has amazing drum breakdown. And then it closes with the apocalyptic sounding Between the Wheels. And this album just has poignant lyrics and is 80s synth work done right. It's my favorite album of 1984 for a reason, and it's another 10 out of 10. And that's my full list. Wow.
Great list, man. I just really like. So now we have 9 in common. So I had quite a few on your last 5, or like the best 5, and just a lot of cool picks you have, and like that we got some of those albums that like I was thinking of maybe a few that you had that's aren't on mine, unfortunately,
Mm.
but just like you can only have 25, so what can you do? But yeah, 1984. Um, I think I think I'm a little more positive on the year um, than Clay. I have a I have actually all of my 25 here are 4.5 or more. So and actually I didn't even get all of my 4.5s here. It's not that many. But although I don't know, maybe I'm a easy grader. I don't know. Does it really matter? But
I only had 36 4 stars and higher, so you're doing a lot better
ooh,
than me.
um I'm not even sure how many I had more than fours, like, but I feel like double amount probably. But yeah, I did love the deep dive and checking these albums out and like and obviously it helps that the main album duration is like 40 minutes around that, so it's like quick and painless, even if you don't like the album. And but yeah, I tried to go most big albums, but obviously not everything. But yeah, it was a nice journey, and I'm gonna start with my 25, which is and I'm sorry, Clay, I forgot to show some quite a few albums that I have on CD, but I'm gonna try to do my best that we have in common here. And at 25 we have in common, and that's Springsteen with Born in the USA. So 4.5 stars. I've actually, if you go to this channel, there's a video about Springsteen albums we did with Dylan. And so I guess I won't talk too much about this, but there's a lot of Springsteen classics. Um, some of my favorites are like Dancing in the Dark, kind of the sit pop number. Um, musically happy, but lyrically it's a little bit more sad, but it's still like a poppy banger. And Bobby Jean, I love the feeling to it, and My Hometown is a lovely closure, and just I'm on fire. And yeah, it's like I don't know where did I rank this video. It wasn't the top five, maybe fourth or fifth favorite Springsteen, but yeah, happy I got it to keep it on my 25. Next is number 24, and it's by Spandau Ballet Parade, which I love. Like, well, the Spandau Ballet album before this was True. This had a was a big seller and had, well, the title track was is one of the big ballads of the 80s and Gold and so on. But so this is like a similar style than True. It's like this sophisti-pop kind of album, and it's kind of has even the same template to that album. Kinda, it kind of feels like True, the sequel to True, and but it has some lovely songs like Round and Round and Only When You Leave, Nature of the Beast, and Revengeful Love. Yeah, but if you don't like, it's a little cheesy. So if you don't like that, it's definitely not for you. But I kind of like those kind of uh poppy, but it's kind of romantic too, and kind of like maybe it's like soul music. I don't know, but very pop oriented. Yeah. 23 is an totally different style. It's a metal album, Metal Church, and they're self-titled Metal Church. So it's like this pretty damn heavy actually, and it's like this heavy metal, probably power metal too, and there's a lot of energy and a bit more on the darker side perhaps, but still melodic and like it's like Darker Maiden perhaps, I'm not sure, or Judas Priest, but yeah, some it like I feel like 84 is a great metal year, and this won't be my only metal album in my top 25. And so, yeah, I feel like more speedier metal and heavier is definitely a worthy album to check out. My 22 is an live album, actually. And we didn't discuss with Clay, and because I've kind of like no rules on the year. If it's released on 84, that's like the only rule. But I kind of didn't listen to live albums actually. And I did listen to a few, but I started to feel like it was almost like cheat with the live albums. It's like almost like greatest hits, but they're live. But so definitely would have had like Dire Straits, Alchemy here in my top 25, but I started to feel a bit like achieved with that. Um but this is a live album. This is jazz fusion album. I don't know, can you see it? But Koinonia Celebration. This is this is probably not a big album. I just saw from Rate Your Music it has like 21 ratings of it, and probably including mine. And so yeah, it's this jazz fusion live album, but I'm pretty sure these are all like um new songs that doesn't have a studio version. So it's almost like a studio album, but it's just live kind of situation. Um I think this mostly instrumental, but I feel like there was one song I didn't write it down that had vocals on it, but and there's some killer playing here, and like one of the main guys playing is the bassist Abraham Gabriel, who's played with has done a lot of session playing, and he's been with Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie, big artists like that, and he has uh well this band and with some other like Alexa Kuna, Justal Marion. So yeah, just the cool. It's just like this lots of cool things happening on the record, and it's still kind of melodic, but they're definitely showcasing their talents musically. Um, so that's my 22. So yeah, my last of the first five is a sort of this pop meets prog album from Camel, Stationary Traveler, which was a kind of a surprise. I've heard maybe one Camel album in the 70s, and I do like it a lot actually, but I don't know what it's almost like rock in the 80s. What's it gonna be like? It's kind of like a mystery always, but obviously this is more pop oriented, and but it has just lot of cool songs like Refugee, and stays the title song has a just a bit longer guitar solo, which is very cool, and just Berlin is one of my favorites, and it's kind of this concept album and has some historical things and political, and but it's a lot of fun. So that's by 21 Camel.
Nice, nice. I have heard that Camel album. It's my 48th favorite of the year at 3.5 stars. But I'd listen to it again. Um, three of those I have not heard. I have not heard the Spandau Ballet, but from what you've said about it, it sounds pretty good. Metal Church, I have not heard that either. But I do love power metal, and I do agree that metal was dominating this year, 1984. And that jazz
Yeah.
fusion album I haven't heard. It looks good though. It's cool. You bought the CD.
Well, it's actually my parents' CD I borrowed.
Oh,
So Koinon is technically a Christian band, but
mhm.
but because well, there's only there's it's mostly instrumental, so it's like if you have problems with Christian lyrics, it shouldn't mind here. But it's just these players are just so awesome,
Nice.
basically. Um, so my next five, and I'm really not sure about the order actually. Like it's kind of hard to put this in order, and kind of can change like in a week some of these placements. But I'm gonna go with this for now. My number 20 is uh Diamond Life by Sade. I don't know, it's just sounds pretty damn awesome to me. Production is so clear and can hear everything well, and just one of these. I think one of the best Sade songs are here: "Smooth Operator," "Your Love Is King," "Hang On to Your Love." Just but like pretty much every song is cool, and it's very romantic and kind of uh, melodic, and yes, even if Sade is maybe not for everyone, I think this album has a lot of good hooks, and just I feel like one of the more accessible Sade's, maybe, I don't know. Uh, but yeah, that was my number 20, Diamond Life. My number 19 is a album that grew on me with a re-listen, and it's by Ultravox, Lament. And it's like a kind of synth poppy album, but it has this sort of maybe post-punk feel to it too, and some of those like Dancing with Tears in My Eyes, so poppy, so cool, and it has those title song is very soothing, and like it I feel like it starts kind of also with White China. It's very different to the rest of the album, and it kind of puts you in a weird mood maybe when but you've just started to notice how it kind of goes even poppier later, and yeah, album kind of stayed with me, and like raised it to 4.5. But yeah, that's my number 19. Number 18 is an perhaps one of the cheesiest albums I have, and it's Vital Signs by Survivor. And I know this wasn't one of the Discord's favorite, the Discord client I are in, but I still remember like I don't know 2016, 17, I don't know. I used to walk to school and just keep listening to this AOR album's Journey, and I was a big Journey fan and Survivor and these sort of things, and just a lot of fun to me. Just well, most songs are just so damn catchy that I just keep hearing on my head. And of course, I've heard this album a lot of times, but just love High on You, love the cheesiest since you can find, and First Night Love, how it's kind of varied and there's different moods to it. And The Church is Over is a beautiful, um, slightly over the top power ballad, and Popular Girl is a lot of fun. Uh, it's the singer, not the song. And so this is the first album with Jimmy Jamison on the lead vocals, and so it's not the same singer as Eye of the Tiger, but I actually prefer Jimmy, honestly, and this is my favorite Survivor album. Um, Probably would have ranked a bit higher those years ago, but um, still, it's a great album, at least for me. Um, Even if it could maybe sound a little better overall. So number 17 is Suddenly by Billy Ocean, which is like this pop meets soul R&B type of album. Just I give some of these songs were probably one of my most listened songs during the deep dive. Not that those songs maybe I've heard them before, and but I just got maybe reminded of them again, and a lot of like fun. I love Caribbean Queen and Lover Boy, and the Lover Boy chorus keeps just randomly it's stuck in my head. It comes in random situations and so much fun. I love the ballads too, and just the album that maybe surprised me. I don't know. I feel like some of these type of albums I heard during the dive, they were like maybe like those 3-star albums that I kind of listened to, but didn't really stuck with me. But this did, and just a lot of lovely melodies in it. But this next one was tough to place, actually, but I have it number 16. It's an artist is called Felt, and the album is The Splendor of Fear. This is definitely way different than probably most of my albums so far. It's like post-punk, and like it has this guitar is very jangly, and they released 2 albums this year, and the other one I think that has like a big title. I don't remember. It's some Strange Idol or something. I had a lot of words. That's more popular, and this is more atmospheric. But I don't know. I kind of like Belt's more atmospheric albums. I don't like the vocals are like I don't know. Maybe they remind me of a little bit of Joy Division, perhaps. But so they hmm, I feel like the vocals aren't works better in this atmospheric uh, vein than in a poppier type of numbers. In pop, I feel like I would rather have a more expressive vocals. And when they do like this atmospheric, so there's a few of these longer songs, The Optimist and the Poet and The Stagnant Pool, have a lot of like electric guitars that are not distorted. I don't know what's the word, but like clean electric guitars and acoustic guitars. They sometimes like repeat a certain theme for like 5 minutes, just doing a little variations, but it's still so weirdly soothing and smooth, and it has a cool vibe to it. And yeah, just it's very sparse music, I guess, but so it's not definitely not for everyone, but I do kind of love it. So that was my next five.
Yeah, that Felt album I have at 3.5 stars, and you're right, it's very jangly, and I think it's pretty good, but I actually preferred Strange Idols, which just missed my top 25. I think
Hmm.
that's the superior album to me. It's 4 stars. Diamond Life I originally had at 4 stars, but I downgraded it. But I do think that it has some of Sade's best songs on it and is her best album. And Ultravox is my 45th favorite of the year at 3.5 stars. And also that Survivor album, I didn't mind it. It's a strong 3 stars, but it's fun. I can admit to that. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely probably the most, I don't know, it's random good word, but like
It's probably not as surprising as me having Big Bam Boom in like the top 15.
I don't know, but yeah, I guess what's the thing is what makes sense to you is the key here. But yeah, that's number 15 is Go Insane by Lindsey Buckingham. And um I'm not sure, I don't think that video has come up yet, but I did Lindsey Buckingham album ranking in the Music Meltdown channel. Um and when I did that, I don't know if it was this year, sometime this year. Um, I raised this album to 4.5, and because this has been a long time for me, and for sure there are songs that are better than others. I love maybe more of the poppier tracks here, like the first three to me are all bangers. I Want You, Go Insane, and Slow Dancing, and also like I Must Go is cool, and Bang the Drum. And but so I feel like Playing the Rain is a little, it doesn't need to be like 7 minutes long, I'm gonna say that. Could have done the same in 4. But I feel like what raised me with the to the 4.5, that I now really like that last song, the Dennis Wilson Sweet. I don't know how to say it, but so it's a tribute to Dennis Wilson, passed away a year earlier. But it's very, it's kind of weird, but it's kind of like I guess it's kind of Beach Boys if like I don't know, if like Surf's Up would be released in the 80s, maybe with the 80s production, maybe it's could be like that. Um but yeah, it's this album is just very poppy, very new wavy, but it still has this sort of art pop feeling to it and kind of eccentric, perhaps is the word. But yeah, love it. Number 14. Oh, I forgot to show the CDs that I have, but well, that was the Go Insane. I probably missed the other ones too, but I have this next one too here. So number 14 is what you had, Ride the Lightning, Metallica. My third favorite Metallica album, but so I do prefer like you, Master of Puppets, and I prefer And Justice for All actually to this, but just a lot of awesome metal songs here, and feel like some of these even grew on me more, like Fight Fire with Fire. I don't know, I feel like Kill 'Em All, which is the debut here earlier, is more like in your face punk, like punky metal, let's say. And this is more well, I guess it's thrash metal, but it has more variety to the music, and it even has the first like a sort of ballad type Fade to Black. It's a darker song, but love it, and I love Ride the Lightning title song, and I kind of like Escape. I don't think it doesn't have a good reputation, I feel like, and I think the fan doesn't like it because it was a last minute add-on by the label, I think. But Creeping Death is so awesome. Like some of these songs I've heard first time in like over well more than 50 years, 15 years. So but I still can pretty much listen to this not any time, but yeah, I feel like to me the one that's been a little played out for me is actually For Whom the Bell Tolls, but just a killer set of songs here. And number 13 is an album I don't have on CD, but I wouldn't mind having. I don't know, is it hard to get though? I don't really know, but it's by this band called Loudness, and the album is Disillusion, another metal album. And like this is a Japanese band, but they have like English and Japanese lyrics here, and they kind of switch it up. So sometimes it's uh, I think the album titles are all in English, but like some songs they sing in totally in Japanese and some I think totally in English, and sometimes they do the verses in Japanese, sometimes the choruses in English. They kind of switch it up. Um, I feel like the guitarist Akira Takasaki um, is I've heard that name before. Like I feel like that's one of those kind of that gets mentioned when they think of like this shred guitarist. But so a lot of cool solos in this album, and uh, Exploder is the song that's totally a guitar solo that's 2 minutes long. I feel like this is kind of a somewhere in the middle of Maiden and maybe the Metal Church album, uh, style wise maybe, and it yeah, I kind of this was also hard to place because I don't have a lot of history with this album, but it's definitely one of those cool surprises I found during this dive. So, and this wasn't in Spotify, so it was a YouTube listen for me. But cool album. Number, where am I? 12 is Marillion Fugazi. And yeah, I do love this era of Marillion, the Fish era. I've actually not really heard the other singer, I must admit. I kind of only know these early albums, but yeah, it's like a sort of 80s prog, but it's very 70s vibe to it still, even if it's kind of has an 80s production. But so I kept listening to this, and it's kind of, well, not every song, but some songs feel like the Peter Gabriel era of Genesis because of Fish too, and he sounds a lot like Peter Gabriel. And I feel like some songs could fit like Foxtrot if they had a different production, basically, and they have this kind of Genesis feel to me, and just a lot of some of this song is so cool, Assassin and Jigsaw and Emerald Lies and Incubus, and so it's not my maybe the next album is my favorite Marillion. It's Misplaced Childhood, but to me this is such a cool album and great playing, and love how I go. It's kind of perfectly proggy but perfectly melodic and kind of even fits to the 80s pretty well. Next I do have on oh, it's there on CD. So it's number 11. Yeah, you had this too, Van Halen, 1984. I don't really know how would I fully rank Van Halen albums. It's kind of hard actually, but it's not my favorite. It's definitely at least top five for sure, but maybe even top three. I'm not sure, but and I agree with you. The synths are there are synths, but it's a lot of guitars too in this album. And my favorites are Jump, definitely. I've heard Jump and Panama so many times, but I'm still not sick of them. So that's so you know how good it is. And Drop Dead Legs is cool, and Hot for a Teacher is another hit. So there's a few songs that has him since, and I'll Wait is one of the, so it's kind of a synthy ballad to the album, and I love that too. And I love the next last two songs too, including House of Pain, which is perhaps one of the heaviest songs here. So yeah, I do love this era of Van Halen, and kind of, I don't know, am I how to feel like it that, well, David Lee Roth left the band after this, and some ways, I don't know, was Van Halen ever the same? And I don't think even David Lee Roth's solo career is super impressive. I basically like uh, them together, but it's like with those what if situations. But yeah, but I also don't have problems with Sammy Hagar being on there. Yeah, that's my 15 to 11.
I love Sammy Hagar. I think, some of his contributions, some of his albums are in my top Van Halen's albums as well. I like that you had Go Insane. That was a really good album. I like the song Bang the Drums. That's a pretty memorable song. That one stood out to me. Haven't heard the Japanese album, but you know, it does sound interesting. Um, and I didn't know that Marillion had multiple singers. I did like their 1984 album better than their 1994 album, which I heard recently, which I know you said the 84 reminds you of Genesis, but the 1994 actually reminded me of like We Can't Dance era Genesis. So
Oh.
I can see that connection. The song Punch and Judy on Fugazi is pretty good. I like that one.
Mm. Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't remember the name of the singer that's after Fish. That's on also on the 94 album, but something Steve something, but yeah, the singer Fish are just only on the first four albums, I think, in the 80s. But yeah, my number top 10 next. I have this album too. Yeah, I feel like this album probably wouldn't be on many top 10, but um, this has grew on me so much in the last year or so. But it's Like a Virgin by Madonna, and I'm just gonna say that um, this isn't the perfect album for sure. Um, but uh, I feel like the Over and Over and Shooby Doo are the weakest songs. But I also do think that this has one of the best pop songs of the year, like Material Girl, Angel, Title Song, Dress You Up, Pretender, and Stay. If I've in the last year, if I've ever felt like I need a boost to feel better, this album has kind of done it. But I still sense like it's not a 5-star album. It's still 4.5, but for me, because it's not perfect, but it's it just keeps rising on me, and I love the production here by Nile Rodgers and all the playing by uh oh Tony Thompson is the drummer, yeah, and Bernard Edwards is the bassist. Not for every song, but this is some reissue with Into the Groove with it, but it's to me it's a bit annoying because it sounds totally different than other songs, so it's kind of oh. So I usually skip that song because it's not on the original release, but yeah, Madonna was my number 10. Oh, I have number 9 too, but where is it? It's there. Um, so my number 9 is Scorpions, Love at First Thing. Again, an album I love. Um, some killer songs like Bad Boys Running Wild, which is the opener, says, I've heard Rock You Like a Hurricane way too many times, but it's still kind of awesome. I'm Leaving You too. So much fun, and Coming Home is a little longer, but still um, pretty heavy, and Big City Nights and Still Loving You is one of these metal power ballads that love it a lot, and just yeah, one of my favorite metal albums of the year, but still not the best or my favorite of the year. Number 8, another metal album, Iron Maiden with Power Slave. Um, So this is my first 5 star, actually. It's been with this album. It's been like been little. Is it 4.5? Is it 5? I'm not really sure even for now, but I stayed with 5 for now. But because it's well, I really have that much problems with it either. And the title song is my favorite. Very epic and has this kind of a I don't know. I always say like it. The riff reminds me of some Egyptian vibe to it. I don't know. Does that make any sense? But like Prime of the Ancient Mariner is the epic, which is so cool and so love a lot of sections on it and like yeah, Aces High, 2 Minutes to Midnight. Those are kind of classics and some of those songs that would be showcased if you don't know what metal is. I think you could. It's like a good beginner metal, but still awesome. And yeah, so not my favorite Maiden, but my second favorite after Seventh Son of Seventh Son. Um, my number 7 is the Blue Nile, A Walk Across the Rooftops, which I love. I love both this and Hats. This is probably slightly more atmospheric maybe than Hats, but and yeah, it's probably the best sounding album I have on this list, and love some of these songs like Thistle Down in the Rain. Such a good vibe to it, and so smooth and uh, it has this sort of mysterious vibe throughout the album. Maybe Stay is the most poppiest out of the songs, but yeah, and title song is great and Heat Wave and so on, and it's kind of mellow, but um it kind of feels like an album you would put on if it rains or something. It has this cool vibe to it. And my number 6 is a metal album. I think this is my highest metal album actually. I got this library vinyl actually here to showcase it. It's a so it's Wasp, self-titled. Um, so so this doesn't original, so 10 songs it doesn't have what the reissue has, like Animal. So it starts with I Wanna Be Somebody. Uh, I feel like in the last year or so, I've listened to a lot of Wasp. This is actually my second favorite Wasp album, but I love a lot of these songs. Maybe there's slight cases of that not every song is as good as others, but um, there's like not much that I would change either. Maybe I would have Animal here. Um, maybe Show No Mercy. But like I love Blackie Lawless singer, one of my favorite metal singers, if not my favorite. Just a cool this kind of sometimes is lumped with glam metal, but I feel like this is almost too heavy for glam metal, even if it has sort of some of the maybe choruses are a bit well not poppy, but has that sort of hooks that reminds me of some glam metal. But um, yeah, it's like this. These are like the bad boys of metal last, but yeah, love it. So that's my 10 through 6.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I heard that Wasp album. It's my 98th favorite of the year. But it's still 3.5. It's one of the lowest 3.5s I have though. I did enjoy that Scorpions album. It's at 3.5 for me, but I think I prefer their 1982 album Blackout a little bit more. That one's 4 stars and almost made my top 25. And Like a Virgin is one of the few 4 stars I have. I think it's like my number 30 of the year. So um it's just such a good pop album, very feel good. And it's interesting because in my top 10, number 10 is whenever I started having 5 stars, and you went to five like on your number 8 pick, I think. So
Yeah, number 8. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
you probably enjoy 1984 a little bit more than me, but I think I have higher highs for 1984.
Yeah, it's true. I probably like feel like I don't have that many years with that many fives than in 84,
Oh wow.
but like but I guess if we watch all of the ratings, I probably have lot more like 4 stars or higher. But yeah, true with the 5 stars for sure. Um, but my number 5 is same. You had this too, you too. Although I think you had this a little higher. For sure, number 2, yeah. But so it's actually my third favorite U2 album. I prefer Joshua Tree and Achtung Baby to this, but it's still 5 stars. And they don't have much. I love pretty much every song. I feel like I'm not as big of maybe uh from men. Oh, I keep having problems with these titles. Pro Promenade. I don't know how to say it. And 4th of July. They're like these shorter songs in the middle, but love every other song. And my favorite is the title song, which is I love the synths on it, kind of cold. And yeah, your true bad is killer. Like love also the Live Aid version, at least visually. And some of these songs have even grown on me. I don't think I used to like Elvis Presley and America as much, but now it's kind of cool with an MLK ending. So it's just this somber moods to it, but it also kind of rocks with some of this Wire and Indian Summer Sky. And yeah, Pride is uh, the hit, and it's awesome too. So yeah, and I love the cover. I've, I don't think I really spoke the covers here, but one of my favorite covers probably in my stack here. But my number 4 is REM Reckoning. So yeah, my favorite of theirs that I've heard. Have not heard everything up to Automatic 92. But yeah, it has just a lot of energy, a lot of great songs like Harbor Code and So Central Rain, Pretty Persuasion, Time of the Time, Don't Go Back to Rockville, and so on. Just love the guitars. This is very jangly album. Um, uh, it's kind of a youthful album, I guess. I don't know. Uh, but these were quite young still, and um, yeah, it's maybe on the I don't know. It's raw a good word, but it's not as like doesn't have this maybe as big studio production as some of my other picks, but yeah, it's a this cool 80s pop album that these guys made, or maybe also rock. So it's, I don't know, pop meets rock meets alternative music. But yes, the next one we also had in common. I love this album a lot. The Cars, Heartbeat City. Actually, my favorite Cars album. And I love Matt Lang. His productions are usually great to me, like in, sorry, Back in Black and um, what else? Well, I like Pyromania too, and so on. But kind of this new wavy album, and it's super melodic. These songs kind of stuck to your head, like Hello Again. Magic is one of the best pop hits of the year, and you might think, Why Can't I Have You is a more ballad type, maybe, and Heartbeat City, the title song, closes the album. It's kind of cool vibe to it, and I love the performance of it in Live Aid. And yeah, just my favorites are basically the Rick song songs, um, which is most of them, I guess. But yeah, this is just one of the my favorite, just pure feel good pop albums. And well, no, I don't actually have this album on CD or anything, but my number two, maybe I'm a bit surprised it's this high, but this has keep on growing on me, but it's Talk Talk, It's My Life. And yeah, this is an album I raised my score with it, and I love a lot of these songs, like Such a Shame, Renee, It's My Life, um, The Last Time, There's Carolina, No, It's You, so on. But so it's very 80s synth pop, but it has a little bit of artiness, I guess. But yeah, this is they do keep on changing. I feel like the next album is a lot different than this, and I think they're like then they're very art pop art rock. I don't know. So they kind of don't do this synth pop numbers that much, but I don't know. I do I do love this kind of synth pop uh, and but I've also not heard like I know Spirit of Eden and probably one of their more higher. It looks like the Laughing Stock too in the 90s are very liked, but yeah. Um, number one left, which is gonna be it was in your top five too. I think it was number three, Prince and the Revolution, Purple Rain, which is um have you actually seen the movie of this?
I haven't. I haven't.
Yeah, I didn't bring it up, but I do have it on DVD actually. I just forgot it. But yeah, I don't know if the movie is actually that good. Like it's good, but it's I don't know, would I put it as high as this album, even if it has performances, I guess. But I feel like the movie parts are kind of I don't know cheesy maybe. But uh this album. Um yeah, this album is very high on me. It's like I feel like said this is my favorite album of the 80s actually. So it's that high. I remember like a few years ago I was just listening a lot of this album and like that when you find a new album for you and it's just you get just I think I listened to this like every day for a while and just a lot of awesome songs like Let's Go Crazy, The Beautiful Ones, Darling Nikki, When Doves Cry, Baby I'm a Star, Purple Rain, and so on. The performances are great. Prince's vocals are great. Um, it's like a perfect balance of pop and even rock and synth pop and maybe even funk a little, but it's accessible and I feel like it doesn't. Maybe sometimes Prince has a that the songs may go a little bit too long, maybe sometimes, but I don't have a I really don't have problems here. This is pretty much a perfect album for me. But yeah, my number one of the year, Purple Rain.
Great list, great list. Yeah, Purple Rain, Unforgettable Fire, and my number one, which is Rush. Those are all 10 out of 10s for me. I got a lot of
Hmm.
flack for not having REM on my list from people in Discord. But I still think it's a pretty good album. One of their songs might crack my top 25 for this year, so we'll see. Um, and I'm surprised you didn't have Rush in your top 25.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's one of those albums that were close, but like I guess I have some problems in the side too, but they're most likely at least will be a song in my top 25. And I
Okay.
do love some of these songs. So, but yeah, so it's like very high for 4 stars for me. But I prefer some of these, some of maybe uh, 1, 2, 4 albums before this and Power Windows to this. So,
You know I love Power Windows.
oh yeah, yeah, that
Well, that's great. Awesome
yeah,
list, Tom.
yeah. Likewise, I really enjoyed hearing you had, and I want to thank you for coming here too. Once again,
Of course.
had a good time, and um, so yeah, this was our albums. We're gonna do songs too in a separate video, and yeah, I wanna see everyone's list in the comments down below, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.
Bye.